Hi, everybody. Welcome to Life School 101 TV. I am your host, Mary Adams, and my co-host, Linda Carbino, could not make it with us today. But we have her here in spirit, and I am so excited about today's interview. Today, I have Christopher Avery, PhD, who wrote the book, The Responsibility Process. And he is an amazing speaker, teacher, author, and facilitator of so many programs out in the world that I'm sure that most of you have seen. And I also have the delight to have Penny Stone with us. And she wrote the book, Whole Horsemanship. And Penny and Christopher have created some amazing programs together, and I'm delighted to have them on the show today. So Christopher and Penny, welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary. It's great to be here.
So what I first want to jump into is give you both a moment to tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do out in the world.
Okay, I'll go first. I am a professional horsewoman, and in my career, I came out of the womb loving horses. I couldn't avoid it. I'm an addict, and I taught riding and trained horses and traveled and taught and wrote articles and wrote books for about 30 years. And when I had a certain point where I had to stop because of physical concerns, it made me kind of recalibrate what I wanted to do, and I decided that I wanted to stop the training and just teach. And now I teach clinics and workshops and promote my book, which tells a lot about my philosophy. And along the way, I evolved into a holistic approach, which means that I like to look at the whole picture of the horse and teach people how to interact with their horses so that they get this amazing, big picture, holistic view of their life with horses. And a lot of what I teach is about flow and responsibility and authenticity and integrity. So it made a perfect match for this guy.
So I'm Christopher Avery, and I do mostly leadership development work, and almost 30 years as a organizational consultant. My first career was as a teamwork guy, and I wrote a book many years ago that still sells strong called Teamwork is an Individual Skill. So at that time, I was even interested in this notion of personal responsibility. And today I'm called the responsibility process guy, and I'm known for the responsibility process, which is on that banner behind me with the white background, which is research that's only about 30 years old, that shows how the human mind processes thoughts about taking and avoiding responsibility for our life and for our world. And it's really simple. What it says is every time something goes wrong, trip over a crack in the sidewalk, spill a little coffee, any little complaint or grievance that we have, anytime we get the least bit of anxiety, our mind takes us to the bottom of that chart, to the red word, lay blame. And we have thoughts of blame, and that's our notion of cause and effect. That's why things are happening to us. It's because it's her fault or his fault or whatever. And we stay there for a short time or forever. And if we get off of it, we graduate up the chart. Justify means instead of blaming a person, we blame circumstances. And shame means that we blame ourselves. And obligation means we feel trapped. And it's not until we refuse to feel trapped in life by the boss, the bank, the mortgage, the elderly parents, the kids, the whatever, the stupid meeting I have to go to. It's not until we refuse to feel trapped that our mind can start accessing this much more resourceful, creative state that we call responsibility. And that's where we really get to access far more learning about the truth of cause and effect in our lives. And so this is my work now of the last, since early 90s. And that's pretty much what there is to know about me. I help anybody who wants to free themselves and live with much more power and much more choice.
Thank you. Thank you for both sharing more about yourself. So today's topic is elevate. I love that word. I love that word. So tell me why you picked that topic for today.
Well, that's because the workshop that we want to talk about is all about elevating your collaborative leadership by noticing how horses behave around you based on how you're behaving. So when I had a chance to watch Penny teach a clinic a number of months ago, I was blown away with how quickly she could alter my awareness and the awareness of, there was a teenager there, I guess he wasn't a teenager, 20 something there from like Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You know, and he was relating to these animals in an amazing way in no time at all. So, you know, here I'm got a 30-year practice of responsibility, and I spent 4 hours in a clinic in an arena with horses, with Penny teaching people how to catch a horse that doesn't want to be caught, was that particular clinic. And my life was elevated because of what I saw. So we just thought it'd be a great theme. Elevate your collaborative leadership skills with horses.
Well, and I want to jump in. I have had the opportunity to watch Penny do the same thing, and it blows me away. I've never seen anything like it. My opportunity to watch her, she had a horse that was completely out of control, was unfocused, was out a little bit out of its mind because there were so many people around, and you could tell this horse was not used to this environment, and it was young, really didn't have a lot of training, and within 5 minutes she had that horse doing exactly what she wanted it to do, and got this harness on it. It was powerful. So elevate. Penny, tell me about elevate.
I want to jump in too, because elevate is what I have been doing for years. And it was great when I met Christopher and we were talking about the same things in slightly different language. You know, we were both talking about elevating people's consciousness. And so elevate was perfect. Years ago, I changed the name of my horseback riding program to Relevate Your Riding, because it was elevate, you know, and I don't remember what the R was for, but that's what it was about. And so this whole concept of elevating through, in his way, the science of responsibility and the science behind how our brains function, and from my direction, how you get to flow so that you can have this new consciousness in a very quick way.
And just for your listeners, Mary, I want to add that in terms of, a lot of people think about getting the horse to do just what you want means tighter control, tighter reins, behavioral training, and being the boss. And this has nothing to do with that. This has totally to do with getting into relationships so that the horse wants to do just what you want it to do. And you know that. I just wanted to add that and build on what you said.
Absolutely. Well, and I would say that this really affects every aspect of our lives. You know, when you start breaking this down, we're not just talking about horses. We're talking about how we as people relate to the world. How are we coming forward? And so, you know, in an instance with a horse or an animal, if you are feeling anxiety, if you are angry at the animal for acting out or being the animal, your relationship with that animal is going to be totally different. And I think a lot of what you're talking about here is how to bring that into a new perspective and be the one in control of the situation.
Absolutely. And the reason that we are doing this as a leadership program is because of all of the, I think millions is probably the right number, millions and millions of people who have a title of leader or manager who don't fully understand that they can treat their employees like a jerk and they'll follow them anyway because they need a job. But what I learned with Penny is a horse won't. So I can learn working with a horse whether I'm being a jerk or not by the response I get. Yeah. And that's something that I cannot do in a classroom or in coaching with a manager. I can't show them that. And Penny's horses can show them that. And that is really exciting to me.
Wow, that's awesome. I've never heard you say that before.
Well, and I think leadership is such an important word that you don't see it out there in the world a lot. It's not one of those big buzzwords at the moment because people have lost that leadership aspect. You know, our society and our world and our disconnection from one another has really changed how we show up in different situations in our lives. And so leadership and evolvement and that moving up, that moving forward, it's about really showing up as not just the one in charge, but the person who is willing to hold that space and allow things to show up and allow things to happen in a powerful way. So essentially what you're teaching is you're teaching those tricks and those tools to how to show up there.
Yeah.
I define leadership as feeling a sense of ownership or responsibility for something, an opportunity, a problem, a situation, a space. And if it's bigger than you, then attracting help. And so for me, everything about what we're doing here is about leading yourself first. I believe about somewhere between 95 and 99.9% of leadership is self-leadership.
Yeah.
And what
Absolutely.
I teach is, you know, if you get yourself straight and integrated, you get your purpose and your values organized, and you love yourself and treat yourself well in terms of being on purpose in the world with whatever it is you're supposed to be doing, don't be surprised to see that there's people who want to come join you. Yeah.
Yeah, Mary does this all the time. She's constantly self-correcting and self-leading, and I never thought of it in those terms before until I heard you talk about it that way. But that's absolutely, you know, this whole idea is that by teaching people to be authentic, be in integrity, be connected to flow, be connected to other people, you do create great leaders. You create people who take responsibility, and they elevate themselves and everything around them.
Absolutely. And I think there's a new level of leadership that I'm seeing rise forward is in the spectrum of not just saying, okay, I'm willing to take it on and be the boss of this, but more of, I am willing to hold this space in this container. I am willing to bring in education and resources and opportunities and co-creation. That's the new leadership role. And that, you know, and for me, being able to facilitate that on a regular basis is probably my biggest mission and goal at this time, because it's so needed. It's so important. And so what you're doing this collaborative leadership, teaching people these skills and giving them the opportunity to take that next step for mastery in their life, that's a huge deal. Huge.
It's a huge deal. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll agree on that.
So, and I love the idea of flow. So I've actually been getting coaching for a few months because I'm rapidly building a team for my business. And I'm the only full-time person. So all of my team members are contractors or suppliers in some way. But we all operate in the same two tools. We don't use email for our communication. We use a team chat tool. So there's huge transparency, so everybody can see what everybody else is doing, and we get stuff out of our inbox. And we use a planning board that's online, so we can all see everything moving across the board. And the most beautiful thing is that we check in at least once a week and once a day. Once a week, we do it live with Zoom. And sometimes our personal check-ins about what's going on in our lives consume the entire meeting, and we don't have time to talk about any problems. And to me, that's a great meeting. when you have so many wins to visit about that you don't have time for problems. And what do we spend most of our time at work focused on? It's problems. And we start every day with a check-in on one of these boards, just saying, what's up with each of us. And the cool part is that this team is now in flow, which means they're all holding the larger vision. They're all holding the space, so that I'm not the only one holding the space, Mary. I'm leaving today for a 3-week trip in Europe. It's going to be a speaking tour, and I know that my team's got it. So team flow is a big part of the world that I work in corporations, which is called Agile software development. And the goal is to get your team into flow where everybody is owning all of it, which is why responsibility is so important. We really don't like the idea of trying to hold each other accountable. And I tell everybody I hire or employ, I say, this is a world of self-leadership. And I only want to hire you to do what you love to do. And the only way I'm going to hold you accountable is if you don't keep agreements and don't deliver what you say you're going to deliver, then you may not continue to work for me, but I'm not going to sit here and threaten you that if you don't do what I want, I'm going to hold you accountable. I'd like to really change the whole accountability thing in the industry.
Yeah, and by what you're doing, just by what you're doing, teaching people how to lead themselves, you're doing that. I mean,
yeah,
you're creating that. And I want to say something else about flow. I use the words consciousness of flow because there is actually a consciousness that goes with that. It's actual measured brainwave state. And one of the works that I do, the T-Touch and the Tellington team work, early on, they did brainwave studies on it, and they found that if you become proficient in some of these moves, you and the person or horse or whoever you're working with actually go into this consciousness state of flow. There's an author named Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi who's written a couple books. One of them is called Flow, and it's about this thick. But he talks about this flow state. And it's really interesting that you use that to describe this whole state that you've created with your team, because they're more able to actually be in that larger flow state with your team when they're in that consciousness of flow. So these things mesh so well. It's just amazing. The more we talk, the more I'm like, oh, that goes with this.
They do. And it also refers to, because it's the world of work, it also refers to the work just flows.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I want to get back to Penny's amazing book. This is, speaking of big, thick book on flow, this is not a thick book. But I just wanted to read one paragraph, if that's okay.
Yeah,
so this is from Penny's introduction. This is from her introduction. She says, in working with many different horses, I discovered that most of them have a place inside where they can become willing and happy to partner with us. So the principles and concepts of whole horsemanship are a way of getting to that place with your horse, and I would add with yourself. So go find yourself a copy of Uncommonly Good Horse Sense.
Yes, and we will have that link attached to this show, so you can find all that information in the bio. And Penny, it is a very special book, and what I love about that book is that it's not just talking about horses, it's really talking about humans. And whether you work with horses or not, you need a copy of this book because it goes deep, and it's one of my favorites, sweetie.
Oh, thank you both.
Yes,
absolutely. Whole horsemanship has very little to do with horses.
Yes, but because my audience is the horse world, I have clothed it in words of horse. And that way the horse people will get it, because they are a population who needs it, but the whole population needs it. And I have actually led some trainings for horse people where corporate leaders have come to them as horse people and then said, I'm going to take your book back to my workplace and use this when I'm training my managers and so forth. So that was my first hint, really, that I had written a book that was really about people.
Yeah, very valuable.
That's wonderful. So we've got, let's see, we've got about 7 minutes left. So let's go a little bit deeper into our topic. So Christopher, let me ask you this. Tell me more about collaborative leadership and what with the horses, and what does that mean?
Well, what it means is that, let me use I instead of you or a participant. It means that if I were a participant in this class, Penny would pair me with another person and with a horse, and would give us a variety of exercises. You know, might start with catching the horse, or might start with figuring out how the horse wants to be caught instead of how the horse wants to play, run around the pen until you're totally winded. And the collaboration part would be noticing how my tendency to lead or follow versus actually pair with the other human. And then how can we get into partnership where we're supporting each other and serving each other as servant leaders, and knowing how to make space for each other, and knowing when maybe is the best time to step in with my thought or my idea or my opinion. And then see if we can make that meld so then the horse appreciates that in the pair of us. So for me, collaborative leadership is very much where it's at. And that is when you know when it's a good time for you to sort of stick your chest forward and your chin forward and say, follow me. And you know when to step back a little bit and support from the side or from the back. But it's shared leadership, it's shared responsibility. It's when two or more people feel a sense of ownership for the same space, the same situation, the same team, or the same work, or the same vision. So it's the cool thing about responsibility, which is so different than delegation or accountability, is that we can all feel tremendously responsible for the same outcome and the same result, and yet we don't feel like somebody else is taking our opportunity away or taking our reward away or something. So that's what collaborative leadership means to me, and especially in terms of our workshop, our clinic.
Wow, I love that. We need this for couples. You guys need to be doing this for couples. That's exactly what this. So
inspiration that might be where we go next.
I really think so. I mean, that's one of the things that came into my mind, because this is something that I think as humans we've lost touch with within ourselves, is how to have these collaborative relationships. And a lot of relationships, you know, especially family relationships, you have two people who are constantly trying to be the leader. And when you teach them how to do it together, everything changes. What a magnificent event this is going to be. I'm really excited about it. Will you tell, go ahead.
I was just going to say, wouldn't the world be better if everybody knew what I wanted them to do and think?
Or learn how to work together. Be collaborative in your leadership as humans. That's hilarious. That's great. So please tell everybody, we've got about 4 minutes left. Let everybody know a little bit about how they can connect with you and be a part of this collaborative leadership with horses course.
Well, we have a wonderful page that will tell them all the details of our upcoming workshop, which is going to be a fabulous way to learn about all these things in depth. And they can go to www.wholehorsemanship.com/elevate. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Probably backwards.
No, it's
Is it backwards?
It's perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So that's where you can find out more details about this workshop. You can get Christopher's book. Whoops. The Responsibility Process, which, you know, is an easy read and just fascinating, and really, really tells you about all these ways, you know, that we avoid responsibility and how you can get to it.
Absolutely, and I want to recommend this book. It is absolutely amazing, and it's a deep read. And there's some parts of this book, Christopher, I want to say that what I love about books like this is when you have to read a couple of the pages over a couple of times to really absorb it. There's some pieces where you go so deep, and it really opened up a whole new perspective for me. So thank you. Amazing, amazing book. You'll have to come back on the show so we can do a proper interview just on that book.
Thank you so much.
Sure thing.
Just to be clear, we have 16 spaces only available. I don't usually do events with limited participation. We have 16 slots available. We have 8 horses on a ranch south of Austin, Texas. It's May 23rd. And people are signing up now. We've got great early bird pricing, and Mary, just for your viewers, they can even save a little bit more with a promo code. And the promo code is LifeSchool, right? So come join us, right? When you get to the checkout page, put LifeSchool, all lowercase, one word. I noticed that my browser spell checker wants to separate it to 2 words. So it won't work as a promo code if it's 2 words. So wholehorsemanship.com/elevate. And I look forward to people who want to come learn with horses.
Oh, it sounds wonderful. It sounds amazing. And I appreciate both of you coming on to the show and being a part of Life School 101 TV. We love spreading awareness and education and having amazing conversations with people who have so much to share. And so we've got I would like you each to take a moment to share your message of love out with the world. And Penny, why don't you go ahead and go first?
Wow, that's the big request. But to me, love is the space between the particles in the universe, and we all have access to it all the time. And when I say, really, I love all of you, I really mean that.
Thank you, Penny. And Christopher.
Lead yourself first. Yeah, leadership is not about others. Lead yourself first. That's my message. So the keys to practicing responsibility are intention, awareness, and confront. Confront means the ability to face the truth or to face our anxiety, face our fears. These are all big, powerful parts of consciousness. And so the message I want to leave is have strong, powerful intention to lead yourself first. And that will bring you freedom, power, choice, joy, and love.
Thank you, Christopher. I appreciate that.
Thank you. You're awesome.
You're both awesome. So I want to thank everybody out there for joining us here on Life School 101 TV, and love to you, Linda. We can't wait till we're back together on the show as co-hosts. And thank you to CATV Channel 8 and 10 for this show, for everything that you do, and please go check them out. They actually have an amazing summer film program going on where independent films are submitted to the TV station, and they will be selecting their winners. So if you are someone who's interested in this, go ahead and go on CATV. And we are always happy to accept your donations for all of the amazing programming that they put on. You can also join me at Life School 101 TV on Facebook. And I am grateful to be with you today, and thank you for joining me. And my message of love is this: be kind to one another. Make the opportunity to show up. Be there. All right, that's it. Love you all. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.